Hi there, and welcome to this edition of Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM. I'm Denise Oliver. My guest today is author Jude Lennon. And I don't know about you, but during lockdown, I have read quite a lot of books. And a friend came to visit on Tuesday. It's like the first friend who's been to visit since we went into lockdown. So that was unusual. And she was very happy to have a wander around Chester. Before she left, I gave her seven of the books that I'd read. And she was like, oh. And where she lives over in Stockport, her road, they have a book club in the road. And so she's like, oh, I'll have a read of these and see if anyone else, fancies having one of these as the next book club. So it's great that we've got an author to talk with today. So good morning, Jude Lennon. How are you?
Good morning, Denise. I'm very, very well, thank you. I'm delighted to hear that you've been reading.
Oh, I'm an avid reader. I read a lot. I love reading technical stuff, but I also love novels as well. And I don't know if you know the company, Jude, Persephone Books, based in London.
I have heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, I've had some of theirs. So I buy their fiction and non-fiction. So I bought a couple of really old reprinted cookbooks, which just like talking about how to jelly eels and stuff like that. And I just find it fascinating what was suggested in the late 1800s as what was good for us. I don't think many of us would choose to eat right now.
No, I'm sure.
So my thought on that is we've never actually got the diet right anyway.
No.
So, eat what works for you is what I say. And then a couple of novels that I bought as well. So, I can't remember the name. D.E. Forster, I think she's called, a woman who wrote in the interwar years, and it's just so charming. And the most swearing that happens in her books is a bit of gadzooks.
What a great word! I like that.
I know, it's just lovely. Words like perspicacity go through the book. Just lovely. Anyway, Jude, enough of what I've been doing. How has lockdown been for you?
Well, yes, it's been a strange old time for lots of us, hasn't it, really? Like yourself, I am always an avid reader, but funnily enough, when we first went into lockdown, I struggled to read. I really found it hard to concentrate, found it hard to write as well. So what I started to do was go back to old favourites and to bring myself back into the reading sort of mojo, as it were. And now what I've done since is I've read a book that I've loved, an old favourite, and then I've read a new book, and then an old favourite, and then a new book. And that's really helped me to keep my reading, because I was just like, oh, this is so unlike me. I can't remember a time when I've never wanted to read. And it wasn't that I didn't want to read, I just didn't have any concentration for it. So it was a bit strange, the whole lockdown thing. And then, of course, all my face-to-face work dried up, and I work like yourself, I work from home part of the week anyway, so that was okay. But the fact that I wasn't going out to schools and to meet people and face-to-face networking, it was all very odd, all very, very odd. So yeah,
we didn't know how long we were going to be in it for, did we? So that was, I think, very disconcerting for an awful lot of people. Like, do I start something? Don't I start something? What is going to happen here? I get all of that. It's just been crazy, absolutely crazy. We've adjusted, and I know that you've been back writing and doing all of that. But before we talk about what you've written and what's coming up with you, just give us a bit of your background.
Okay. So I'm Jude Lennon. I am a storyteller, professional storyteller and author. I used to say children's author, but I've branched out into adults, so I say author now. I was born in Southport, which makes me a sand grounder. I live in Liverpool now with my partner Dom. He's a musician, so it's a very creative household. I was a teacher for 18 years before I escaped the chalk fate. And I've been doing my storytelling business for 6 years, and I've been writing all my life, but publishing books for the last 5 years. So basically my world is imagination, creativity. My world is imagination, creativity, words, books, stories, lambs. Lambs, chocolate, So yeah, that's pretty much my world, really. I just love being creative, and I love playing with words and using my imagination. And also, writing for children is a really joyous thing because they don't have the same constraints that we do as adults. You know, you can tell them that a lamb is going into space, or that, you know, a frog is going to take over the world. And they go, okay, yeah, that sounds perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Whereas now, well, maybe after lockdown we'd all agree. I don't know. No, so writing for children is a really joyous thing. So yeah, I do feel very lucky to do something that I do enjoy. Yeah.
Cool. So we'll take a break after that introduction, which was very informative. I love how you love words. It's just fabulous. And then we'll come back and just talk about what it is to be a storyteller. So what is that all about? So let's take a break now. Hi there, welcome back. So you're listening to me, Denise Oliver, your host of Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM. And my guest today, who is Jude Lennon, who's author, storyteller, numerous other things, drinks gin, eats chocolate, and has a camper van called Buttercup, which is just lovely. I love the whole idea of that roaming lifestyle. Yeah, well, I used to want to do that myself at one point. But just to mention to everyone, just to remind you all, this is recorded via the Zoom platform. So any glitches that we have seem to be the norm these days when it comes to doing a recording. And also thanks to Amy, the station manager at Calon FM, for putting this together as a radio show. Fabulous. So Jude, back to you. So you're originally from Southport, you now live in Liverpool, you write stories, but you love being that storyteller, don't you? So talk to me about what that is.
Yes, absolutely. I love storytelling, and I was always storytelling when I was teaching. I think a lot of people, when you say you're a storyteller, they expect you to turn up with a book and read it. And that's one form of storytelling. But of course, the traditional storytelling, the stuff that I do when I go into schools and events, is a very, very much older thing. It's kind of one of the oldest forms of entertainment, from when people sat around in their caves, around their fires, and talked about what they'd done in the day. And the elders would pass on stories of wisdom to the younger generation. And so I do oral storytelling. So I tell stories from my memory. And as I always say to the children, I've got a fabulous memory for stories. Can't remember where my car keys are, don't know where my purse is, but it's different parts of your brain. So I love telling oral stories because there's so much you can do with them. And if a child sort of interrupts and adds something, you can weave that into the story. You can go a bit off-piste, which is what I like, you know, with that. And also you can change it according to where you are. So you can actually set Goldilocks in the local park. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can set Jack and the Beanstalk in the woods up the road. So you can make it very localized for the children and the audience. I mean, I've told stories to babes in arms up to 90-year-olds, you know, so there's no age limit on stories. And so yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And how I got into it really was I was just coming out of my teaching career, very, very stressed. And I went up for a weekend in the Lake District. Taffy Thomas has got a storytelling garden in Grasmere, and he was running this weekend training for teachers. And somebody said, I think you should go. I think it would do you good. So I went, very fragile. Anyway, I went, and he told all these stories, and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. That is what I'm going to do. And I have actually phoned him since and told him that, you know, his session kind of set me off on this path. And yeah, it's just wonderful because I think, especially now in this gadget world, I mean, we're on a gadget now, you know, that's our world, you know. And I just think that stripping it back to stories and the spoken word, there's something really magical about that. And you don't need batteries to tell stories. You don't need anything. You just need a voice, some actions. If people have got instruments, they can add those in. You just need a person and a setting, and you're good to go. Yeah.
Sounds like you'd be great at children's parties.
Yeah, I have been asked to do children's parties, but the thing is, I think a lot of children now have got high expectations for a party, and they want all the whiz bang and magician stuff, and that's not me. I'm very much sort of let's bring the party down and let's all have a lovely chill time. And maybe that would be great. Maybe some parents would be like, oh yeah, please, let's have that, instead of them all bouncing around on jelly and ice cream. I don't know.
It sounds like it might be a good one to do for like sleepovers, that sort of thing. Children seem to do sleepovers at a much younger age than mine ever did, which it's just a bit like, ooh, really? Just to point out that this morning that we're recording this, there is gardening happening, so you will hear stuff going on in the background, but that won't detract from Jude and what she's saying to us. So how long have you been storytelling?
Well, they set the business up, it was 6 years ago in March. So yes, Little Lamb Tales was born 6 years ago. So yeah, and I couldn't tell you how many stories. Actually, I did, over the lockdown period, I did online storytelling to try and give families, something to do to keep their children occupied, and maybe give them a chance to enjoy a vaguely warm cup of tea, maybe
in the background.
And I counted up the other day, because I did the last one last week, and I told over 100 stories over the lockdown period. Wow. So and they're all up on YouTube. If people are thinking, I need 5 minutes peace, and knock yourself out, Little Lamb Tales YouTube, help yourself.
That's cool. So it's called Little Lamb Tales on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And go look it up, people. If you want your children to have, if they're looking at a device, then why not listen to you telling stories? Nothing wrong with that at all. On that note, we are going to take another break, and then we'll be back to find out about Lammy, because we all want to know about Lammy. And we'll see what adventures Lammy has had. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour, and I'm here with author, storyteller. I don't know what else you do, Jude. You said it all at the beginning. I've forgotten now. You reeled it all off. Lover of lots of things. Lover of life, actually. I always see you as someone who's incredibly positive and outgoing and out there. And so my guest is Jude Lennon. So we can't have a show with Jude Lennon and not be introduced to someone called Lammy. So tell us all about Lammy.
Indeed. Lammy is the face of Little Lamb Tales, my storytelling business. When I first came up with the idea for a business, I thought, well, I need a mascot, because children like a mascot that they can relate to or say hi to, or somebody cute. And I had Lammy. He's basically one of those hot hooks, you take their tummy out and put them in the microwave to warm up. And he's very cute. And I thought, he would do. And I just thought, well, children call things as they are. So doggy, kitty, Lammy. So Lammy just seemed the right name to choose. And so Little Lamb Tales was born, really. So, and now it's kind of taken over my life because as Denise knows, Lammy and his girlfriend Flossie go everywhere with me. And I mean everywhere. They came to South America with us. They've got their own passports. When we go camping, they come with us. They go everywhere. And my friends and my family have been very understanding that me, a grown woman with no children of my own, rocks up with Lammy and Flossie to bring something to the day out. So yeah, it's he's just part of my life, and he actually then became featured in some of the books. So I've written 5 books that feature either Lammy, Flossie, or the whole team, because we've got a flock of lambs. There's 5 of them in total. So we've got 5 books in total, and there's everything from Lammy in space, Lammy as a pirate, camper van, Lammy goes camping, which features Buttercup, my van, Floga with Flossie. Floga is her very own version of yoga, but better. And then
I'm going to say there is a yoga that's known as flow yoga. So, Floga sounds great to me.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something about, I've heard you read these books. So am I right in thinking these are done in rhyme?
Yes, they are. They're done in rhyme. I don't always write in rhyme, but I do like writing in rhyme for children. There's something about the way they flow and the way the words kind of dance across the page, if that makes sense. And also, if you want to, not all my stories do this, but some of them do, you can have a repeated refrain, almost like a song, like a chorus, going through that the children can then join in with. So yes, so I do like writing in rhyme. As I said, I don't always, but I do like to write in rhyme. And all of Lammy's books are written in rhyme. Yeah.
And beautifully illustrated.
Yes, I'm so lucky. I've worked with, Holly Bushnell has done all my illustrations for Lammy, and I also worked with Lisa Williams, who did my most recent book. And I can't draw for toffee, I just can't, but you can't be good at everything, and that's fine. And whether you create a book for adults or a book for children, creating a book is always teamwork. It's not just the author on the front who's the instigator. You've just come up with the words. There's a whole team that go into actually making the book a reality, and illustrators are a huge part of a team of anybody who's doing a book for children. They're so important.
With these books that you've written about Lammy, from the sort of idea to actually getting the words on paper, how long does that take?
Oh gosh, well, it depends. I mean, funny enough, Astronaut Lammy, which was Lammy's first book, I wrote that years ago when I was still teaching, and it started off as Astronaut Sam. And I needed a book about space. I'd read all the storybooks to the children. I thought, I'll just write something. And I wrote it as Astronaut Sam. And originally, I didn't say whether Sam was a girl or a boy. I just wrote the story so the children could decide whether this astronaut was a girl or a boy. But then Lammy came along and said, well, actually, I'd like that story for me. So I changed to Astronaut Lammy. But I wrote that years ago. It must be 15 years ago, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe more. Yeah. Pirate Lammy again. Pirate Lammy I wrote a long time ago again when I was working in the same school, funny enough. So that's about 15 years ago. So it didn't take me 15 years to write the story, obviously, but they've kind of changed and evolved. It depends. I mean, sometimes, you get an idea and it's here, and then it's on the paper and it's done, and it's, minutes, half an hour. Sometimes it's a lot longer, or sometimes you write it and then you go back to it and go, oh, what was I thinking? That is not going to make sense, and you change it. So it just really, really depends on the story, really. Some of them just emerge quicker than others. That's just how, I can't explain it any other way than that, really. So yeah, I suppose it's like anyone who's a creative person. If you're making a piece of jewelry, I imagine some pieces just kind of make themselves, and others you kind of, oh, if it's ever going to go together, So yeah, so it's a bit like that, I suppose. Yeah.
What age group are these lamb tales?
Therefore, the Lammy books, they're roughly for 3 to 6, I would say. The Trails from the Travel Pouch, that's our collection of stories about our trip around South America. That's more for 5 to 8-year-old, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just going off that as a teacher. Was that the age group that you were with?
Yeah. Yes, I was early years and into year 1. So 3, 4, 5 and 6. Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, you do write a lot. We're going to take a break now, and I'd like to come back and talk about the new book that you've written, and then also just to say that you do actually do online writing courses as well, so we will talk about that as well. So anyone who might be interested in meeting Jude, doing an online writing course, if you've got an idea and you're not quite sure where to go with it, Jude's your woman. She'll be able to sort you out, I'm sure. So let's take a break now. Hi, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour. I'm Denise Oliver, and this is a recording for Calon FM. My guest today is Jude Lennon, and thank you so much, Jude, for rocking up at this hour of the day. I really appreciate it. So Jude, you're a storyteller, you're an author, you've got several books published, and recently you created something different. So talk about this book and what it's about and who it's for.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I released my latest book, That's Our Home, on the 20th of March. Great timing. But the idea came last summer. My sister-in-law was working, she was doing a beach clean at her local beach in Formby, and we were chatting about it, around dinner. I'm sure you wouldn't believe what was going on the beach. They're picking inside a towel. It's awful. And I said, that's terrible. And from that came the idea for this story. So I wrote That's Our Home, which is a rhyming picture book for children. And it features starfish, crab and seagull who are horrified that their beach has been used as a dumping ground for their litter, for litter and rubbish, plastic bottles, you name it. And so they have, I've actually got it here, they have a little thing that they say all the way through, which goes like this: don't do that. That's our home. You're just not being green. Use a bin or take it home. Keep the beaches clean. And that message runs all the way through the story. And so it's the animals are sort of telling the humans, hey, you know, sort this out. It's not on. You're leaving your mess, and this is where we live. And actually, the message has never been more relevant, because as we saw a few weeks ago, unfortunately, the beaches, the parks, the forest lands, everything were just being abused, really, you know, used terribly. I mean, you know, whenever we go anywhere, when we wild camp in our van, we leave nothing behind. We literally leave nothing. We take it all away with us. And I just can't understand why people don't do that. So so I wrote the book, and hopefully, you know, it's going to help to get this message across, especially now we're in the summer holidays, although I'm not sure what that means at the moment, but never mind. Yeah, it's all a bit odd. And then hopefully during the summer holidays, while people are out and about, it will make them think really about what they're doing with their litter, and also the environments that they visit, because those environments don't belong to us. They belong to the creatures and the animals and the plants who live there. You know, it's like me coming around to your house and going, oh, hi, Denise, I'm just going to throw my rubbish all over your living room. Bye. You know, like, you just wouldn't do that. So, so that was why I wrote it, really. And it's been great, really, because I've had a few contacts from people in local beach litter clearances who've put up posters I made to go with the book, just to remind people about the message. So I just think if you know, if it makes just one person think, I'll take that home with me or dispose of it properly, then job done.
Yeah. I know. A comment I'd like to make is, I don't live near a beach, but I do live, my garden backs onto the meadows in Chester, and oh my, the rubbish that we've had here, because there's not been anywhere indoors for anyone to go to. So when the weather was glorious in May, oh goodness me, we had so much of it. People just don't see that it's their responsibility to take it home. We had a fire that was on the meadows. Somebody left their barbecue and it set fire to the place, you know, which was right at the end of our garden. And it's just like, oh, people really, you know, think what you're doing, please, because you're going to ruin this environment for everyone else. Then I was watching either last night or the night before, I think it was last night, on the local news about the Lake District, and how they're finding that people have gone camping when they've been asked not to. So like you're saying, wildwood camping, but they've left everything. Their tents are there, their rubbish is there. It's like, who do you think sorts this out? And it's like, oh, and I get really cross. It's like, who is that person? Jail them. And then pile all their rubbish into that cell with them, and then see if they like it.
I know, and I know, like you, I just don't understand it, but there you go. You know, so all we can hope is that, you know, people like us sort of spread the message, and other people might start to think, oh yeah, that's maybe not acceptable.
I know, maybe it's not that. Well, how amazing would it be if people suddenly started to realise that their environment was actually important, in the sense it's not just about what you live in most of the time, it's all of it, it's everything that's outside the four walls, it's everything outside your car, things like that, you know. Anyway,
absolutely.
What can I say? So people listening, what's it called again, Jude?
It's called That's Our Home, and yes, it's written by me and illustrated by Lisa Williams, as I said. And again, it's a picture book, rhyming picture book for 3 to 6-year-olds, 3 to 7-year-olds, or you could read it to adults who, you know, drop litter.
Yeah, let's put one in every tent that goes up anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's take a break, and then I'd love to come back and find out more about your online writing course. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour, and you are listening to myself, Denise Oliver, and my guest, author Jude Lennon. So are you an author or an authoress? I mean, what is
author?
I know, what is politically correct these days? I have no idea.
No, I just say author.
I mean, stuff seems to change all the time in terms of what we're supposed to say and what we're not, and I'll be honest, I don't keep up. So I choose not to watch the news very often, or listen to like news event political stuff on the radio, and crack on with my life.
Yeah.
So you have an online writing course. Now, is it online at the moment because of the situation we're in?
Yes, it is actually, because I've been running these courses for 5 years, face to face. And then, Michaela Leyland?
Yeah.
Yes, well, she has been encouraging me for a long time to put them online. She said, Jude, you really need to put these online. And I'd resisted and resisted. Like, no, I really love the face-to-face. I love being, with the people on the course. And then, of course, lockdown happened. It was like, oh, okay. And actually, I was meant to be running a face-to-face course in June. So obviously that just didn't happen. So eventually I listened to Michaela's wise words and said, right, okay, now is the time. Obviously, whatever as fate has spoken and intervened and said, you will put these online, Jude, and there you go. So they're online now. So essentially, I've had to tweak bits of it, obviously, to make it suitable for online, but essentially it's going to cover the same as I've always covered in the face-to-face. So getting started, plot, character, setting, writing for an audience, marketing tips, publishing options, all those kind of things. And then at the last session, Sue Miller from Team Author UK comes along and chats to the group and talks about, how you can make a book a reality, really. So I run them through, I work very closely with Sue in Team Author, so I kind of run them as under an umbrella of Team Author, really. So, so there we are. So actually, the evening one launches tonight. So, yes. So, and then there's a daytime course as well, which launches next week for 6 weeks. So if anybody, is interested or wants to find out more, then please, feel free to get in touch with me.
And where can they find more out about online writing?
Yes, well, the best place probably my author page on Facebook. So just Jude Lennon author. If you look that up, there's a black and white picture of me holding an award, looking a lot more glamorous than I am at the moment. But never mind. Or you can go to, you can drop me an email as well. So jude.lennon@teamauthoruk.co.uk.
It sounds quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Informed. There's a lot of information in that. So if it's online, is it how many evenings, how many daytimes?
It's 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks, and each session's 2 hours. So in the evening sessions, it's 7 till 9, and the afternoon sessions are 1 till 3. So so obviously the daytime course just is the same running the way through, and they're exactly the same courses. I've just done one in the day and one in the evening to account, because inevitably there's somebody says I can only do evenings and I can only do afternoons, so covering both bases there. So and everyone who's come on the past courses has said how useful they have been, and some people have gone on to publish their own books as a result. Some people have used the writing techniques to improve their social media content for their businesses. Some people have just thought, I just wanted to explore my creativity. Yeah. And I've had a great time. I don't want to do a book, but I've had a wonderful time. So it kind of covers all kind of bases, really. Because I did a course through the OU while we were in lockdown. I didn't particularly want to go and do anything academic, but I thought, I'll do that. So some people just want to do a course because you want to try something new.
Yeah, so, like you say, it is that exploring something that you might have had an inkling for.
Yeah.
And then you just go on a course and find out whether you will or you won't take the time to write something. And absolutely. You mentioned Michaela Leyland, and she wrote a book on the back of doing a course with you.
Yeah, 2 books actually. So she wrote her business book and her book for children. So she's a brilliant advocate for me.
Yeah, I just want to mention that. I mean, if anyone has got that even a tiny inkling that there's something in them that wants to write. And do you encourage people to write using pen and paper, or is it done through, typing it in? How do you encourage people to write?
I mean, normally in the face-to-face and on the online, there's opportunities for people to write. Now, I've had most people turn up with pen and paper, which I'm a pen and paper girl. When I write my stories, the pen and paper. But sometimes people bring tablets and whatever works best for people, whatever works best for their learning style. But then every week they get homework and they have to write a piece, and then most people type those up and print them out and bring them with them, and some people just read them straight from the notebook they put them in. Again, it just very much depends, really. So it's a real kind of it's a real opportunity for people to express themselves and explore, and people don't have to share their writing if they don't wish to. They can just say I've written it, or they sometimes say, can I just show it to you? And I say, yeah, that's fine. So it's whatever works best for everybody, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder whether there's something with people that you were a teacher.
Maybe.
And it's like, oh, would I show this ex-teacher my work and have it marked?
Only smiley faces.
I know. I've known you for quite some time now. One thing I know about you is how kind you are. And it's that whole thing of you would very gently, very kindly just suggest, and you wouldn't make anyone wrong for anything they'd done, but perhaps if it was tweaked here and there, that's how I imagine you would be.
Yes.
So you can tell me if it's different.
Yeah. No, that is, yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's a dark side to you and you get the whip out. Crack people into submission. No, that's terrible. Red marks all over the book. Anyway, we need to go for a break now. I'm just having fun, just enjoying the other side of Jude Lennon. And we'll come back for our final session. Can you believe it? Woo! So yeah, let's take a break now. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour, and we're in the final session of today's show. And my guest has been Jude Lennon, author of many, many books, and there's so much else we could talk about. So very briefly, I just want to mention that you do have a book club called Extra Slice of Lennon, very clever. And something else that you've been involved in is something to do with early years and children for summer. So very briefly, talk about those and your contact details. And then I'm afraid we're out of time for today's show.
Okay, gosh, it's flown by. Okay, so the Extra Slice of Lennon is a group that runs off my author page on Facebook. And essentially it's a place where we choose a book each month and we read it and then we come back and review it. It's also a place where people can drop cultural links, happening exhibitions, streaming, theatre, dance, whatever. And it's also a place where people can just share pretty stationery pictures, you know, or just funny things they've seen about literacy or books or things like that. So it's very, it's very fun. And a lot of people have said they found that quite a nice, positive place to be during the situation we've been in for the last few months. And then the EYFS at Home, yes, that's a wonderful initiative. And basically it's been creating content for parents and teachers or, early years staff to access to provide activities for children throughout lockdown, but it's now extending and it's going to be running until at least Christmas now. So every day there'll be activities available for children to do. A lot of authors get involved and we have author takeover days, and there's lots of activities. They're all based around books and the fun learning, exploration, creativity, those early life skills that are so important. So yes, I'm very excited to be part of that as well. That's brilliant. It's just been such a, because essentially it's all the lovely bits of teaching that I love to do, and which I have missed. So it's been great for me. I feel like I'm teaching again, but all the lovely bits, the lovely bits only. So yes. And
how would someone find out about the early learning stuff?
Early year. So it's the website. Yeah, the website's called EYFS Home. So that's Echo Yankee EYF Foxtrot Hotel Home, and it stands for the Early Years Foundation Stage, which is the curriculum that the children follow. So this is for activities for 3 to 5 year olds essentially. If you just go on that website, you'll find all these wonderful activities that have been put together. You can go in and find them for yourselves and use them with your children. They're really good.
Yeah, it's great that there's creatives like you who know how to put stuff together in a way that works for children, because not everyone has that. And I know that many years ago, if we'd been working through laptops and stuff like that, that's the sort of place I would have gone for my kids. As it was many years ago, we bought videos, not even DVDs, and books, and entertained, in the summer holidays, especially when they weren't very pleasant weather-wise. And so I was lucky. I had children who liked books. Yeah. So they would have very quiet children, really. And so they would love things like that with just the occasional day out. They weren't the sort of kids that needed to run off steam. They weren't that way inclined. And so, yeah, I would have gone for something, looking for something like that. So, Jude, best way to get in touch with you about everything you do, what is that?
Well, you can try my website. So that's littlelambpublishing.co.uk. That's got everything on there. Storytelling info, author info, books. All my books are available on there. So all on there. My author page on Facebook. So Jude Lennon Author. And also, if you want to drop me an email, then you can. So that's jude.lennon@teamauthoruk.co.uk. So yeah,
And Little Lamb Publishing, is that .co or .com?
.co.uk.
.co.uk. Sorry, I just missed that. So yeah, that's the end of today's show. Jude, thank you so much. Wow, it's gone so quickly.
It has. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to chat to you.
Oh, thank you. No, it's great. I love hearing what you're up to and getting the word out there, because right now, in the weird and wonderful world that we're in, I think parents need as much support as they can get in whatever way it comes for them. So thank you so much, and hopefully see you in person before too long. I don't know where. And enjoy any of your outings that you're going to be doing in Buttercup, and take it along with you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay tuned. There's an awful lot to come here on Calon FM, and we love having your company. So thank you, everyone, and bye for now.